Hey everyone, Cat Goblin and Martin here. In the last review, which was all about Digimon Battle Spirit, I said I would do a review on New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Well, today, that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to be talking about every single enemy found in the game. Yeah, it's about time I review a Mario game, so let's get into it. Okay then, so in all enemy reviews I do, I always talk about those key things, which are basically some facts that all of these enemies share in common. And in New Super Mario Bros. Wii, if an enemy happens to run you over, you either lose your power-up or perish. With most of these enemies, you can either jump or throw fire and ice balls to defeat them, but there are some enemies that can't be beaten by these attacks. The first three enemies that you ever encounter in the game are Goombas and Koopas, and they are found in every world. Goombas walk left and will go right if they collide against something, and they'll fall off ledges. Green-shelled Koopas act the same as Goombas, while red shells don't walk off ledges. When you jump on a Koopa, they hide in their shell. Then you can kick or pick up and throw the shell at nearby enemies, but they will come back out from hiding after a few seconds, and you can use ground pounds to fully take them out. Funny enough, every time the music says "Bah," Goombas will jump and Koopas will show off their sick dance moves. Another really common enemy found in a lot of the worlds is the Piranha Plant. They usually come out of pipes trying to bite you, but once you stand on a pipe they won't come out. These plants can even appear outside of pipes, in water, or on the ceiling. Some can breathe out fireballs at you, and then we have giant ones. Luckily, the fire flower can be used to obliterate them, and it takes a few fireballs to defeat the giant ones. Next, we have the Hammer Bro, and they're only found in World 1-3. An enemy notorious for being annoying is only found in one level. So the Hammer Bros jog on the spot. They'll throw hammers at you and jump to blocks above or back to the ground. You can easily defeat them with fireballs or simply hitting the block underneath them. And Yoshi can even eat their hammer, which you can spit back at them for some coins. In a large majority of the tower and castle levels, you'll encounter Dry Bones, by far the coolest enemy in the game. When you jump on his head, he'll just fall over, and his head will roll off. Then after a few seconds, his head gravitates towards his body, and Dry Bones will continue doing his rounds. So yeah, he's pretty much invincible. The only way to defeat him is to have the star power-up, POW blocks, or you can freeze him and chuck him into a wall. There's also Big Dry Bones who's immune to ice, and it requires a ground pound to knock his head off. In all of the water levels, you'll find Cheeps. They pretty much swim left. You can defeat them with fireballs, freeze them, and in 4-2 they jump out of the water. Deep Cheeps, which are found in 1-4 and 8-4, swim towards you if you're in their sight. Eep Cheeps, who are only in 1-4, swim away from you. Last, Spiny Cheeps will chase you non-stop. Their spines can break through ice, and they're spotted in 1-4, 4-1, 4-4, and 8-4. Also in the water is the Urchin, found in 1-4, 4-1, and 4-3. These enemies stay in the water, and sometimes they move around. Fireballs can be used to swiftly take them down, but if you freeze one, they'll break out of the ice all knocked out and will sink. They can be used to block jet streams coming from pipes, and with these big urchins here, only a star can be used to defeat them. Next are Clampies, appearing in 1-4 and 4-1. Clampies are giant clams that open up from time to time. Inside the clam you can find coins or a 1-up, but if you're not fast enough you'll get trapped inside and lose a power-up, or a life. It's pretty easy to get through them, and they can be seen sinking down to the bottom. When you beat 1-4, you'll come up to this path with a big Goomba. So basically in each world there are enemies on these paths. They chase you, and if you bump into them you have to do an enemy fight where you collect all the Toad spheres and save Toad for some mushrooms. The giant Goomba is only found in World 1. If you jump on it, it splits into 2 hefty Goombas, and if you jump on those guys, then they split into 2 regular ones. Fireballs can be used to prevent them from splitting, and hefty Goombas also appear in 8-2. Koopas are pretty generic, but put some wings on them and you've got Para-Koopas. They're pretty common in the game. They mostly fly left or right, up or down, and will hop. Once you jump on them, they turn back into a normal Koopa. Next up is the Thwomp, another iconic enemy that is only found in one castle. The Thwomps hang out on the ceiling. When you get close, they'll drop down trying to crush you, then they'll go back up. And the only way to defeat them is if you have a star power-up. On to World 2. Next is the Boomerang Bro, found in 2-1, another underused enemy. Now instead of throwing hammers, he'll throw boomerangs, hence the name. The boomerangs come back to him, and they're not really too difficult to deal with. In 2-2 you meet Spike. Spike will grab spike balls from his mouth and chuck them at you from all sides. You could just defeat him easily with fireballs, but if you're stomping them, then you'll have to time it right so as to not land on the spike ball. next is the Fire Snake, who's only in 2-3. The Fire Snakes hop around. Their head flame can grow bigger from time to time, and they can climb. The Star or Ice Flower can be used on them, but then that just makes the level darker. Fire Bros are next, and they can be found in 2-3, 3-4, 6-6, and they're well known for being annoying in 9-7, when trying to get that last star coin. Fire Bros throw fireballs at you, just like how Mario can throw fireballs with the Fire Flower. Fireballs skip on the ground and Fire Bros aren't too hard to deal with, but it is interesting to face an enemy that utilizes one of the same powers as you. Spike Tops only appear in 2-3 and 2-4. It's a red-shelled Buzzy Beetle with a single spike, and they can walk on walls and the ceiling. To take these enemies out, you can freeze and throw them or use a star. Next are Pokies, and they appear in 2-5. Some are short and others are tall, but all Pokies have dangerous spikes. Luckily, you can cut them down to size with Yoshi or fireballs. The quickest way to defeat them is to hit their head, and they fall apart when you freeze them. Another thing is that every time there's a ba in the music, the Pokies turn into oranges, and at this point Yoshi can eat them whole. One of the most annoying enemies in any Mario game is a Lakitu, and he appears in 2-5, 4-5, and on the World 7 map. When they show up on their cloud, they'll fly around and throw spinies at you. When you defeat them, you can steal their cloud for a few seconds. In 4-5, there are Lakitus that hide in cloud blocks, and these ones throw coins instead, so that's cool. After Lakitu is the Spiny. These small enemies come with Lakitu, but they do appear alone in 2-2, 2-3, World 2 map, and 6-2. Since they have spiky shells, you can't jump on them, obviously, so you'll have to use fire or ice balls. They occasionally jump to the music. In World 2, they pull you down into the sand as well as climb on the ceiling and drop down when you're close. And because they roll on their backs, you can jump on them when they're in this state. Next are Flame Chomps, and they're found in 2-6, 8-3, and 9-6. The Flame Chomp flies around the level. It will spit out its 4 fireballs at you. Then when it runs out of ammo, it will chase you and explode. Luckily, they're super easy to take out. World 3 is where the cool enemies are at, starting off with the Cooligan, which I referenced in the last video, and it's found in 3-1 and 9-5. This penguin sports some MLG glasses, and they slide on their bellies. But when you jump on them once, their glasses fall off, making them all stressed out because they lost their cool shades. Once you jump on them again, they're defeated. Fireballs are affected on them, you can turn them into ice boards, and their beak can stop you from penguin sliding. Now we're on to the Ice Bros, and just like with Fire Bros, they utilize the same power-up as you, which are Ice Balls. And they can freeze you, which forces you to shake the Wii Remote to break free. Luckily, Ice Balls don't bounce like Fire ones, and you can spot these guys in 3-2, 3-3, and on this icy path in World 3. A really iconic enemy is the Boo, and this smiling ghost is found in every ghost house level. When you look at a Boo, they'll cover their eyes, but when you look away, they'll come towards you. There's even big Boos, and these ones are just as shy as the regulars. The only way to defeat them is with the star power, but other than that, they don't really pose too much of a threat. Next is the Bobomb, located in 3 Castle, 4 Airship, 5-4, 7 Tower, 8-5, and 9-4. Bobombs walk around. When you jump on them or hit them with fireballs, they get ignited, sitting there until they explode, which can be useful for blowing up areas. To defeat them without an explosion, you can throw one of them or use a shell in a group. There's Bobombs frozen ice, which can chain explosion, Bobombs with parachutes, and in some cases, cannons will fire them. Then there's the Amp, which only shows up in 3 Tower. The Amps are found in this section of the tower, and they generate electricity which can shock you, and to defeat them you just freeze them followed by a ground pound, or you can throw a frozen dry bones at them. First encountered in World 3 are Bullet Bills. They later appear a lot in 5-5, World 7, World 6, and they appear in paths on the World 6 map. Bullet Bills fly in a straight line, and you can freeze and jump on them. They even spin when 2 of them tap each other. The cannons that fire them have 2 barrels. Some cannons rise up and down, and there are cannons bunched together that switch sides. Bonsai Bills are bigger, and they can't be frozen. By the time you reach World 3, you'll see this big scary fish in the boardwalk, and it's called a Porcupuffer, and it's really, really annoying, especially when you have the water level rising. It also appears in 6-5 and 9-2. The Porcupuffer will swim really fast around the surface of the water. Then it will leap at you. This fish really reminds me of Spike Bass from the DS game. You can defeat it with fireballs, but the thing is, after a few seconds, it comes back, again and again. Huckit crabs are located in 4-3. These enemies will use their big claw to hurl rocks at you, and the amount of force in their throw makes them jump back, but they're super easy to defeat. Four Ghost House has Scaredy rats. They pretty much walk around the place. If you defeat one rat from a group, then the rest will scatter, and if they reach another rat group, then they'll also scatter in fear. They're not hard enemies, but the funniest thing you can do is throw a frozen one on a group and collect all the 1-ups. Dry Bones doesn't really go in the water, so instead Bowser has Fishbone, or also known as Wet Bone, and it appears in Fort Castle and 5 Ghost House. These scary looking fish slowly patrol left and right. When they see you, they'll charge you in a straight line. You can make Fishbone collide into a wall or other Fishbones to defeat it. You can freeze it, and you can even throw the light block at it. Next is the Cheep Chomp, appearing in 4-4 and 9-2. This big fish patrols around, and if you remember from the DS game, this fish will eat you whole, which can instantly kill you. Fireballs or the star power-up can be used to defeat this mean fish, granting you 3 1-up mushrooms, and it is immune to ice balls. Next, we have Bloopers, found in 4-4 and 8-4. Bloopers swim upwards very fast. They will follow you, but luckily since they swim downwards slowly, you can throw a fireball at them. In 4-4, there's also Blooper Nannies. These bloopers have 4 baby bloopers surrounding itself, which can prove to be an obstacle. Occasionally, the nanny will make the little ones scatter, and will generate more. The bloopers also like to hide in pipes or on the ocean floor. Then when you get close, they'll shoot out like a rocket, and for some reason they're immune to being frozen. Once you enter Fort Castle, you can spot climbing Koopas. They're green-shelled Koopas climbing up and down or left and right on these fences. You can of course jump on them, and when they're on the other side of the fence, you can punch them down. Found in all the airship levels are Mecha Koopas. They walk around the airship, but the thing is they chase you. Jumping on them temporarily disables them, so the only way to truly defeat them is to pick one up and make 2 of them collide, or chuck them into a wall while they're frozen. In World 5, there's Stalking Piranha Plants, located in 5-1, 6-3, and in the World 5 area. These plants patrol in an area, and when you're close, their stem extends, making their mouth an obstacle. Also in 5-1, there are River Piranha Plants. They sit in the water blowing a spiky plant ball up and down. Both of these enemies are very difficult, as you can easily take them out with a single fireball. Wiggler makes an appearance in 5-2. They're really passive, although when you jump on them they turn red with rage and will start chasing you. They don't even seem to chill. Luckily, you can slide down these slopes to get rid of them, or use a star. In the cave section you'll meet big wigglers, and these ones actually help you get through the poison water. Keep in mind they can still damage you, and the flagpole is the only thing that can defeat it. Watch out, because here comes Swoop, swooping down in 5-2, 6-2, and 6-6. Swoops are bats that hang out on the ceiling. When you're close, they swoop down on you, and that's pretty much it. Boos are pretty shy enemies. Boo Buddies, on the other hand, are not shy, and they appear by the secret flagpole in 5 Ghost House. These boos fly around in a huge circle. They're not too difficult because there's a gap in their circle they can jump through, and once you touch the flagpole, they give you tons of 1-ups upon death. Five 3 is home to the Bramble. These strange enemies have 2 long legs which can damage you, and they walk left and right like this. To defeat them, you just have to aim for their head. You can even hit their head from below, which makes them go the other way. And it's funny when you freeze them. They're not too hard to deal with, but there are some that do walk fast. We've seen small and big Goombas, but now we have mini Goombas appearing in 5-4 and 7-5. These Goombas are so tiny that they can't even hurt you. Instead, they latch onto you like leeches, adding some weight which makes your jumps heavy. Really easy to defeat, and when they're on you, just do a spin jump to shake them off. Making our way through World 6, we have Stone Spikes, located in 6-1 and 8-4. They're blue versions of the regular spike, but instead of throwing spike balls at you, these ones drop spike boulders below them. Dodge their boulders and then defeat them. The last of the Koopa Bros is Sledge Bro, a big hammer bro that means business in 6-2 and 7 Castle. They act just like the normal hammer bros, except for that their hammers are bigger, and they also have this ground pound move that can shock you, leaving you stunned and vulnerable to their hammers. Next is the Buzzy Beetle, found in 6-3 and 8-1. Buzzy Beetles are immune to fireballs. You can jump on them, and they also fall down from the ceiling like Spinies, but you can easily defeat them, just like with Koopa Troopas. Monty moles burst out the rocks in 6-4. These angry moles will chase you. When they bump into a wall or another enemy, they bounce back, and they're not too difficult to deal with. On board 6 airship are rocky wrenches, moles that hide on the deck wearing manhole covers, and will occasionally pop out to throw a wrench at you. To defeat them, you can jump on their head when they pop out. The first new enemy in World 7 is the Cheep Chomp, located in 7-2. A Cheep Chomp is attached to a pole. It bounces around, then when you're close it will try to bite you. They're pretty much invincible to anything except for the Superstar, but to get rid of them you just have to ground pound their pole, which releases them. Next are Fuzzies, appearing in 7-3, 9-5, and 9-8. Fuzzies act as obstacles, moving around on these wires. They can jump to another wire, and there are of course Big Fuzzies. You can easily defeat them with fire or ice balls. Seven Ghost House is where bruisers like to hang out. These ghosts have boxing gloves, which they'll use to hand down some fury, and also to push barrels down. It requires 3 stomps to take them out, and you can use power-ups or ground pound to one-shot them. Plants are in World 3 and 4 Ghost House, and the Obake block is in 7 Ghost House. They may appear as regular inanimate objects, but once you get close, they'll spin in the air and will hurl themselves at you. They're really easy to dodge though. Outside of 7 Ghost House are these crows called Crowbers, and they also appear in 8-5. These birds fly above you and will then dive bomb you. You can easily take them out, and I find that the Crowbers here are less annoying than the ones in the DS game. Foos definitely fit this world, and they only appear in 7-5. These cloud-like enemies puff out fog, which can make it an obstacle, especially when it comes to platforming. Thankfully, they're easy to defeat. Paragoombas are found in 7-5 and 8-2. It's a Goomba with wings that make it jump, and it will chase you. But when you jump on it once, it turns into an ordinary Goomba. Wrapping up World 7 is the Parabeetle in 7-6, and hold on a second, how are Parabeetles enemies? They pretty much help you by letting you jump on them so you can beat the level, but here's the twist, if you touch their face, you take damage, and they're invincible. Besides that, small Parabeetles fly upwards when you land on them, while the big ones fly downwards, and if you jump on 8 Parabeetles, you get a 1-up. Nice. World 8 is our next stop, and lava bubbles are very common here. They even appear in Worlds 2, 5, and 6 castle levels. So yeah, the lava bubbles jump out of the lava, becoming an obstacle, but you can just freeze them. In 8-4 we have Bulbers and Jelly Beams. Bulbers are passive creatures with a bulb that illuminates light. Jelly Beams shine light underneath themselves, and they kind of act like Thwomps, as when you go near the light, they come down. Both of these enemies can easily be defeated, but at the same time they can be super helpful as they light up the dark cave. The last couple of enemies are found in the special stages of World 9. 9-3 contains Bullseye Bills, bullet bills that home in on you, and the Bonsai versions will fly up to your level. bigger bullet bill is King Bill, who appears in 9-8. King Bills will pop out of nowhere in the level, and they're pretty much invincible to anything. Well, except to the flagpole. Finally, we have Munchers, prickly Goombas, and this annoying Piranha Plant that breathes out 3 fireballs in 9-7. Munchers are frozen ice cubes. If a Piranha Plant unfreezes them, they'll bite you, and there's nothing you can really do about it. Prickly Goombas are generic Goombas hiding in a spiky plant that you can't jump on, but once a fireball hits them, they'll be released, and you can even freeze them too.
Oh no!
So everyone, there you have it. That is every single enemy in New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and most of these enemies are very underused. Super Mario Bros. Wii is one of those games that I play at a friend's house, and it took me a while to finally get the game. But after playing it a lot, I really enjoyed it, especially the cool enemies, because they're the best part of the game. Anyways, please like and subscribe, and as always, I'll see you all in the next one.